Welcome back. Nice to see you all once again for another edition of Classic Curling with Cullen. Today, we are going to be watching the 2018 European Championship final. I'm super excited about this because, as I'm sure quite a few Canadians and Americans out there maybe have never seen the game before. I know I hadn't seen it, so I'm excited. And I am joined by two of the very best. It's our first time meeting today, which I'm very excited about as well. I'm joined by Anna Hasselborg and Agnes Anna. Hi, ladies. How are you doing?
Hey.
Hi, we're doing good. Anna just spilled her tea. You were like, now we're going live, and then she spilled her tea.
Oh, no.
It was like on the signal, going live, and 1, 2, 3, and then I spilled my tea.
Do you need some time to clean it up before we get started, or you? We're off to a great start. I haven't spilled anything yet, so that's a good. I've got 2 drinks going here. I got a smoothie, I got water, so it's very possible that I will spill something as well. But I learned today that you two, you just have cabins like across the street from each other.
Exactly. I bought the neighbor's place just like 4 years ago. So Anna she grew up here, and I spent a lot of time here. So then I decided to also move here in the summer because I couldn't be with her. Like, we're not spending enough time with each other.
I was going to say, you just couldn't handle, you missed your Canadian winters together so badly. You're like, oh, we better have Swedish summers together as well.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me. We are going to be watching the 2018 European final today. I'm going to get it started because it's got quite a long intro, and we can just kind of talk about this. I was curious. Obviously, this is your first Euro win. Coming into this game, you had lost 2 European finals just before this. What was sort of your what was kind of your attitude going into this? Because you guys are Olympic gold medalists now, right? Going into this game, you're feeling pretty darn good, I would imagine. But what was kind of the mood of the team at this time?
So, when we lost our first European final, that was we were such a new team and we had no experience. To just come to the final was like a big thing for us. And then we had a pretty good game that we lost in a very, very horrible way on the last stone draw. Plus, we gave away the game earlier too. We could have closed it in many shots before that. And then the year after, we had a really, really good final against Evie, a really good one. And I think that one, that final kind of taught us that you can lose a final and still not feeling happy about it, not at all, because we're too much competitors to ever feel happy, but you could you can be not that devastated, you can say.
Exactly. And we were also going towards the Olympics. So the second final that we lost, we were still in such a learning mode. So we talked a lot about handling that game and learning from it, and when it came to that game, we were feeling exactly like we wanted to feel. Like, we were feeling relaxed and still pumped, but we were maybe a little bit too relaxed. So we were trying to find our ways to play the perfect final, and we felt that we were super close. So after that, we felt more ready for the Olympics. So we were pleased with that still.
Is it hard? Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
No, I saw that Mark Kennedy said that the 2009 World Final that they lost made them win the Olympics. And I would say for us, we were such a new team and so unexperienced that the 2 first Euro finals that we lost made us win the Olympics for sure. So going into this game, of course, we didn't want to have 3 silvers, but it was a new team. This was a new, much more experienced team, a team that had we could play a lot better curling that we have ever did before this game. So going into this game, I think we were just very focused and really good mindset, really good one.
Yeah, and I remember because we obviously won the Olympics just like half a year before, and we felt a lot of pressure from ourselves going into next season, like just like finding out for ourselves who we are as curlers, because we were like, okay, we were good at the Olympics, but is that it, or do we have more? So this is the first championship after the Olympics. So we felt it was super important to show ourselves that we were there to win.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, as you see here, like coming into this game, Switzerland had been really on a roll. So we knew that we were playing a team that was in good shape and that we had to make a really, really good game.
Yeah, nice. No, and that's great. Like I was just like, I feel, you win the Olympics in 2018, kind of the peak of the sport. And then this is kind of like 6 months later. How do you sort of ramp up or like get back into a competitive mode after that? Because I know like there are lots of teams in Canada, especially, that have kind of that Olympic hangover, and it's tough to like get back into things. But we're lucky that, the Briar and the Scotties aren't until like almost a full year later. So teams can kind of figure it out, whereas you guys are playing a fairly major championship pretty quickly after the Olympics.
For us, like it was it's like the same thing that Agnes was saying, like we didn't win the Olympics in a peak of our career. We kind of won it in the start of our journey. So like to be honest, like when we came to the Olympics, we had only 2 seasons at the slams. So we had only been we've been in Canada like the amount that we have been now for only 2 seasons. So everything was just like a learning mode in everything we did. We felt so like unexperienced and like sponges that just wanted to get better all the time. So for us, we did have a hangover during straight after when we came home.
Yeah.
But that was more for like not curling hangover. That was more like because all the feelings and economic stuff and stuff like that. But for curling, we were so eager to show ourselves and the world that the Olympics just didn't happen. It was because we were
getting really good.
Yeah, we were getting really good. Yeah.
I mean, I think when you win the Olympics, people know that you're good. I think if people didn't know it before that, they go, you know what? This Hasselborg team, they might be pretty good, I think.
Well, we have very high demands on ourselves and on each other.
That's good. Okay, well, we're going to skip ahead. We're going to start from like the 6th end here. So I'm just going to go ahead and find it. Oh, I found it. We were perfect. Okay, great.
Perfect. Nice timing.
We will go a little before this. So I was curious, Anna, you were telling me, in the DMs and stuff when we were trying to set up this show that you kind of wanted to do a European championship because you thought that maybe Canadians kind of don't understand how important the European championships are to you guys. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I do think that in Canada, we definitely don't have a sense of kind of what's going on at the Europeans at any given time. Like it's kind of like you see on Twitter, like, oh, the Europeans are happening and then they're over, and you're kind of like, oh, cool, like Adine won and Hasselborg won. Okay, whatever, great, like good for them, But it definitely does seem like a little bit distant from us. So can you talk a little bit about kind of what the Europeans mean to you guys?
Yeah, I would say it's like it's the same as the Worlds. Like the Worlds, of course, has some, like, since we have Asia and North America there, but it's everything is the same as the Worlds, and except from those teams. So the feelings and the prestige is there, and it's such a big event too, because you have the men's teams there. And you have the B event there too, so it's like it's a very fun and important and very prestigious championships. And I think when I will look back on my career for sure, and I think I speak for Agnes too, is that like they will be very close in like Europeans and Worlds in the memories and feelings.
And in some way, I think that the Europeans is comparable to like the Briar and the Scotties.
Yeah, I think so.
We don't have anything like that in Sweden. We're only 2 teams in the top level. and we play each other a few times a year. But then at the Europeans, we get to play all the really good teams in Europe, and also some other teams that we don't play, just like you guys do. Like you play a little bit lower ranked teams from the provinces that aren't as high ranked.
Yeah, my province is what you're specifically referring to. Yeah, BC. Yeah. Okay, I get it. I understand. Yeah,
I get it. Exactly. And like every curler knows how prestigious it is to like only go to the Scotties, like be there. And it's the same for us with the Europeans.
Yeah, I think that is spot on comparison.
Yeah, that's interesting because I like what you're saying. I think that maybe there's a sense among North American curling fans that, you know, the lower ranked teams, as we say, are like, we don't know them too, right? Like I think there's a sense of like at the Brier and Scotties, you know, obviously like a good curling fan would probably know most of the teams, even if they don't compete on tour that much. It's often, especially from smaller provinces, it's kind of the same people that go to the Brier and Scotties all the time. So there's a bit of a familiarity. Whereas like I feel at the Europeans, some of the lower ranked nations, like we just never see those teams. So I think that there's maybe like a tendency to think like that they're much worse than they are or something like that.
Probably, yeah. And also like how it's been the last couple of years is that the top field is the same top field that we have at the Worlds too. It's us and Switzerland in the final. It's Evie and us in the final. Like it's Evie, us, Russia. It's like the same kind of teams at the Worlds too. So the top four of the Europeans is so tough. And then of course we have maybe some teams that are lower ranked, but those are still teams that go to Europeans every year. So just as the Scotties, because I think that is a really good comparison, is that they get good at being at the Europeans too. Yeah, right. So we have respect in every game we play, because in curling, good players can also be really bad if they don't are focused.
Like, and a lot of players in like the Italy team and Denmark team, they have played so many more championships than we have, like as many times on an arena ice as we have. So they're super experienced and in playing in the championships, and maybe not in the top ranked world curling events, but in the championships.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. I think that that's something that Canada, especially like at the junior level, is really focused on right now, is like getting people this experience like at the nationals and stuff, because that's, you know, what makes you better when you start to play at these bigger championships and get more used to them. So
yes, yeah, definitely.
That makes sense to me for sure.
And for us, when we started to play at the Grand Slam level, we had never been on arena ice, almost never. So, and now it's what we do all the time. But you can't take that experience for granted.
But they had to sweep it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like we were talking about before the show, like, you know, I'm a decent curler. I've been in kind of the upper middle class of Canadian curling for a long time. And I've played on arena ice like less than 10 times in my life. Like we just started getting arena ice at our provincials. Like BC used to just be in curling clubs. And then I've played in one slam and that's it. So like, yeah, it is a huge difference when teams are playing on arena ice like 8 to 10 times a year, as opposed to like maybe once a year if they're lucky.
Yes, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Hold high in that yellow guard. So
I was also curious, just one more kind of like introductory question, and then we'll focus more on the game. This is the Europeans. I'm a little confused as to why your jackets say Sweden and not Sverige, because you would assume that at the European Championships it would be written in Swedish. Is there a reason for that?
We're so international.
Oh, I've never even thought about it.
What did it say on Olympics? Because our Olympic post said Sverige, right?
It didn't say it. It said only SWE and the Olympic rings at the Olympics. But that's true, because the Swiss team has in like Swiss. Yeah, Swiss.
Swedes are self-conscious, so we were like, no one will know if we take rice.
Yeah. People don't recognize the very iconic blue and yellow and Tre Kroner, and yeah, people will have no idea who you are.
But you know what? They always confuse us for being Swiss.
Yeah,
they're like, you must like the mountains and the chocolate, and we're like, And the cheese. Yeah, but we're from Sweden, so I have it all the time.
You're like, we do have chocolate and cheese, but I don't think we're famous for it. You had a good chance to steal here.
Mm.
And then you went deep on your first one.
Exactly. I did. The port doesn't look very tricky when you see it again like this, but I remember it was starting to get straightened out.
Yeah.
On that spot. I think we will see that later in this game. So my first rock, we had more ice than on this one. So we were a little bit, we were not 100% sure the way we would throw it. So it was like it became like a straight and fast spot.
Just looking for this one in on top.
So yes, overthrew it, my first one. And then lucky enough, Alina was a little bit heavy too.
Yeah. Yeah, like talk to me about the ice at the Europeans, generally speaking. Like, is it pretty good quality, like what you're used to in slams and playing at Worlds and stuff?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Ice has been, apart from this year in the round robin, I think ice has been amazing at Europeans.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah,
this final was amazing. This championships was really great ice.
It's been like it's a long championship and many games. Like it's many teams and many games. So it's been straightening out a little bit during the championship. But then they have papered the rocks, and it's been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Hey, like it must be a crazy week to have all of those games happening. At the same time, like, but you would never play more than 2 games in a day, I'm guessing.
No, not only 2. Yeah, 2 games in a day.
Yeah,
and almost like every day.
Yeah.
So it's a hard job for our coaches and for the alternate. Like maybe having 2 games, like a morning game and then the afternoon game, and then waiting for the men's draw to end at like 10:30 in the night, and then stepping on to practice in the late in the night, and then maybe morning draw at 8 in the morning the day after. So it's and that goes on for like 7-8 days.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's tough for the crew.
Yeah. I remember Wayne was shocked. he thought.
Well, I mean, Wayne has a bit of a reputation on the men's side as, I think just being a guy who kind of just showed up and curled. So this was probably a huge adjustment for him in many ways.
Maybe, but he's very he's very analytic. So
of course, yeah.
He's like, he's probably the best analytics guy, or the best tactics guy in Canada. So you asked us about how playing this championship was, and I was going to say, like, we were even at that point we were even so like, oh my God, Wayne Middaugh wants to coach us. That's how we felt.
Yeah, how did that kind of start? How did that happen? Because I remember it being a thing in Canada, people being like, whoa, like, is Wayne Middaugh coaching Hasselborg? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, we were after the Olympics, we decided, both like the team and Maria, who coached us before, Maria Pritz, we decided together that we wouldn't keep on going, and we said that we wanted to find someone who was like a little bit more like working with the tactics and we all
challenging us.
Yeah, exactly.
We really wanted to be challenged.
And we felt a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like, we wanted to get better, and we had to stay better than our opponent, Swedish team, to make it to the Europeans and to the Worlds. And the first event of the season was the skins, the Elite 10. So with the skins,
right?
Yeah. And then, of course, we wanted to call the skins king.
Yes.
So that's how it started, and we didn't want to jump into anything and like sign up for a whole year. We just like, do you want to come to this event? And then we we won that event. And then we said, this is good, we should do it one more event. And we like for the whole season we did like one event at a time. So so when we finished that, we asked for the next one, and he was feeling like the same. He didn't want to sign up for anything if it didn't feel like it was a perfect fit. So for the Europeans, we're like, hey Wayne, it's been working fine, or great. Do you want to come to the Europeans with us? Like, yeah, hell yeah. And we like kept on going like that for the whole season. And then we said like, okay, maybe do this a little bit more long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is like, now we are like, we're really close.
Yeah.
He is such a great guy, and he challenged us so much, and he brings new perspective, and he adds like a mentality and a perspective on the game that is like just amazing. And what it was important for us was that he had like the same kind of idea of how to call the game. So we got along really well, like right from the start, because we had the same vision about how to call like a simple but very well played game, and know to quote Wayne Middaugh here. So like turn the screws on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that some English terminology that Wayne taught you? Turn screws.
Yes. Turn the screws.
It works in Swedish too.
It works in Swedish. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so you were saying like, so you guys win the Olympics, and then you're saying that you wanted to challenge yourself. What were some things that you had sort of, you've touched on them a little bit, but what are some things that you sort of identified after that you kind of thought like, these are definitely things that we want to work on? Like, not even thinking about Wayne, but just like in general, what were some of those things that you felt like you could grow in? What were some of those areas?
Turning the screws for definitely, yeah.
Tactics and work with the whole team, not only for Anna, or like for the whole team, and know when and where in every game we should do it.
Yeah.
So we were like, for the Olympics and before that, we were so unexperienced, so we wanted to bring Maria, because she was bringing a lot of like experience and comfort to us.
Right.
So that was the main goal with her. Like we wanted experience and comfort, and then when we finished that season, we felt that we didn't want to get too comfortable, because we always want to get better. So we said that we wanted someone that could challenge us and help us to like develop in everything.
Right.
Just nerves now starting to kick in.
So that was a lucky draw through the house for us.
Yeah, worked out quite nicely.
Nervously.
When you've got kind of, yeah, so it's interesting, like you're talking about that you kind of want to play sort of a simpler game, but knowing when to kind of turn it on. What's sort of the kind of idea behind that? Why do you think that that's the game type that best suits your team?
So it's not always that the simple shot needs to be like a defensive shot. So that is very important to like state. Like the simple shot could be a freeze against 5, because it's a path that you know. Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more about that. I think that you should always give yourself the best odds of winning a game, and best odds of winning a game is when you play shots that you'll make, and not giving it up to chance. Like we're all control freaks in our team. I'm looking at Agnes because she's the biggest one. But Wayne is also a control freak. That is something we talk about a lot. Like, so we want to be in control when we curl. So I think the only way you can be in control and really control the tactics is when you make a lot of shots.
Right.
Like that's the best way to put it. And I don't have like a idol or anything, but guys like Wayne Middaugh and Kevin Martin, I think they perform exactly that. Like I always been like so when I watched Kevin, like that he always knew when to bail out and when to go hard. It could it could look like an end was setting up perfectly, and then he said, "Oh, the angles are not there," and then he just blasted everything out. And I really think that is a way of calling a game where you can control the controllables.
Right. And I think too, though, like in a way, maybe teams are more hesitant to play that way because it demands consistency, right? Like that's the big, if you're not consistent and you're not consistently making those shots to bail out at the right times or to put yourself in those positions, it's really tough. So I guess that's also something that you took into consideration of like, I think when you play this kind of strategy, you have to be the most consistent team, right?
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Like, or we have to be consistent. And the thing is that I think that is really suit our game plan suits our team very well is because everyone has a very good idea and everyone can throw a lot of different shots and make a lot of shots. So I have so much trust in the other three girls playing before me that they will make these shots. So if we just call it, I know what I will throw.
Yeah.
Has it been a big adjustment moving to the 5-rock rule? Because, the 5-rock rule almost kind of by design takes some of the control out of the skip's hands. Like it gives more of a chance for the team without hammer or even the team with hammer to score multiples and stuff. How have you guys kind of accounted for that change in terms of like wanting to play this style, but now maybe teams that are more aggressive can junk it up a little bit easier?
I think it suits us perfectly because we have Agnes and Sarah, and they can throw runbacks and peels. And Agnes is also a very good draw player, so we get to use her in a way that we might didn't do before because she has to draw on her first.
Exactly.
And then she still can make the rocks go if it didn't go as planned.
Yeah. No, but like we were talking about it before, I was peeling corner guards like all the time, but I never do that anymore.
No.
Like it's almost never. Only if we're like up with a lot and keeping it open. But otherwise, I'm not peeling the corner guards.
No.
So it's like it's been a little bit of a change in the game for me, like playing wise. But I think it suits us well too. Yeah.
It was not even like a thing that we were thinking that much of.
No.
We talked about it a lot, but then out on the ice, we never were like bothered by it. It really suited our way of playing.
Yeah.
And Agnes plays like her style of play.
And it also, I think it came like in the perfect timing for us too, because we played with each other for like 2 seasons before before it came, and then we were like in the stage where we were developing our own like offensive game plan. So that was exactly what we wanted to do, like play that kind of game in that time, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it kind of came along at the right time for you guys in that you weren't so established at the 4-rock rule anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Or we won the Olympics with it, but still.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but we've already established that when you won the Olympics, it was an accident and you weren't ready and you were still learning, So what can we say?
No. Look at this beauty of Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah, a great shot. Yeah, this was an interesting one because it was funny. Like I hadn't watched this game before, and so I was watching it to get ready for the stream, and I was like looking at the line score, and it was just like a lot of ones on the board. But it was really funny to see. Like I would start watching the end, and like you look at this setup right here. I'd start watching the end, and I'd be like, how do they only get one here? Like, how did this end up in a blank?
And I think the way that we came through this end was really, I think, was very important for us for winning the game too, because we learned so much because we were like, okay, because it did look like we were getting a big end, and Alina was playing amazing. and then we
too much. Though.
No, that's true. So and I just think it's very important that we like how the way we just like kept going.
Yeah, we could have like lost our like we could have got stressed about it since we were like we were lying to get maybe 4, and then but we kept going. Yeah,
but like as we were talking about before too, like the easy shot might not be, it could still be an offensive shot, and as everything is behind the tee line here, you were kind of expecting them to make that perfect freeze once or so.
Yeah. No, totally. I think it's true. I think sometimes you can get lost in that a little bit in curling. You're like, oh, we were sitting so late in the end. Like, how did we not score a bunch? But then, if you come back and you look at it with a more kind of, analytical lens, and you go, okay, no, but like really, it's not like any of the rocks were in like amazing positions.
No.
And it's always important to remember that they are playing against the game. When they're playing these kind of freezes in this scenario, and if we only get 1 here, we still put a lot of pressure on them. And if we can just keep on going, she won't make the next one or the last. So that's one thing we learn here, I think.
Yeah.
Could be the key as well.
Sarah definitely makes 2 beauties here in this end.
Off the red.
Yeah, that was a really good shot. It was after this shot where I was like, wait a minute. How did they only get 1 here? But obviously we're going to see why, because it's crazy. The percentages in this game were also wild. Like, this was a very well played game from a percentage perspective.
It was, yeah.
I think, Anna, both you and Alina are in the 90s at the end of this game, and like the team percentages are like 91 and 86 or something like that. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think me and Alina, we switched our scores up. Like, I was up high 90s and she was in the high 80s. And in the world final, when we play each other the season after this, so I was in the high 80s and she was in the high 90s.
Right,
so it's always like, that you have to be up in the high 90s to beat Alina.
Yeah, it's crazy. Your team was all in the 90s pretty much. Sophia was 89, and then Agnes and Sarah were 90. Anna, you were 94, and then Alina was 85. Team percentages were 91 for you guys and 87 for them. So pretty insane. Pretty well played game. Do you obviously, you talk about playing Alina again in the world final and, being both European teams and playing in a lot of the same events. Like, you guys play them a lot. How do you prepare to play a team that you probably play 3, 4, 5 times a year? Is it a different approach?
Like, we always know playing them, we always know that we will have to be at our best, and if we're like we can't give them anything because we know them, and we also have to talk about how to approach them too. So we're looking at their statistics and we're looking at our own and trying to figure out how they will play and how we should play them. That's pretty much it. We always know that we will have to be at our best to beat them.
But you don't think about like, okay, last game they did this, so we maybe need to adjust our game plan to do this. It's just kind of, you're still just hoping to play the same game no matter what. And then as long as you play well, you'll win.
No, we look at a lot of analytics and statistics, and because I have a pretty good memory, I can also be like in the 7th end when we're retired, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, yeah. So we try to add everything into our like experience database kind of.
Gotcha.
And try to bring that in.
Yeah, 100%. Like last time in this scenario, they went double center. Okay, now we know that we're doing this, so we don't let them put the double center up.
Exactly. Like now we might not throw a corner because they will go double center. So we just go around the double centers.
Gotcha.
But this is how quickly an end could turn around.
Lena makes a sweet freeze. You're just a hair heavy and click off it.
It's crazy, Perfect freeze and 1 bump off. Game. That was that end. And then you're drawing against.
That's only because everything is behind the tee line. So it's not on you. It's on me. I made the first draw behind the tree line, then she froze.
Hey, listen, there's no blame here. Okay. This is, there's no blame in this chat. We're just having a good time.
Yes, and we know that we win the game too.
Yeah, exactly. We know it's a positive memory. So even the misses, you can kind of just be like, okay, well, you know what? It's fine.
What I think I can recall from this draw is that the Agnes and Sofia was ice cold and didn't use the backing, and I was like, "Oh, use the backing," and they were like, "No, it's T-line." I think we'll see.
Yeah. But this is
That's usually how skips remember things. They remember when they think the sweepers screwed up. That's like a big thing for skips.
And we're like, we don't want to over sweep it either, because they're like, it's important to make it good here. Yeah, but this is pretty tricky. Like playing the whole end on one side and then making the last draw on the other side. That is like, it's a lot of pressure, and it is put a lot of demands on the communication and stuff. And yeah,
and also like thinking that you're drawing for 4 and then you're drawing against 2-1 behind like back button.
Yeah,
kind of.
Sweden are looking like a big end.
You gave me good information.
Final stone.
I hope so.
Anna Hasselborg.
I think I'm sweeping for backing. Am I not?
I don't know.
You're like, I don't remember, but it seems like I was.
No. She's like, nope. no backing needed. I was like, go for backing. You need to go if you're.
Yeah, if you're on it, you might as well. Yeah. Well, who cares when you can just make it perfect like that? It doesn't matter. Who needs the backing?
We were skipping the line also. We're like, no, it's already passed.
Yeah, how do you what's going through your mind in the hack, Anna, when you're going to throw that? Like you said, it looked like a great end. Now all of a sudden you're drawing against 2. How do you kind of like put that away and just hunker down for the draw?
Like when I'm in the right state of mind and where I want to be in big games and in all games generally, actually, is when I don't think ahead and I don't think back. I just think about like my routine and what the information that my sweepers gave me and how to release the rock. And I was in a really good state of mind in this game. So I think I only thought about the path and the way I wanted to release it. And I think we talked about like that we thought it was going to be quick, even though it was not. Even though we haven't been on that side for the whole end. So I just thought about those kind of things.
That's good. That's why you're a skip. I would be in the hack like, fuck, how am I only drawing for 1 here? What's happening? This is terrible. I hate this. That's why I'm the lead, because then nothing is on the ice when it's happened. When my shots are happening, nothing's there. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. This is nice for me. I like this.
But we actually talk about that a lot. Like it's not only for you, like it's for all of us. Like to have, we call it like having goldfish memory, like being super present and just like trying to focus so much here and now, and don't think about how we got there. Just like, what am I doing now, and what can I do to make it good? When it comes to sweeping and when it comes to releasing the rock or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's good advice, obviously, and it's the way you have to approach your shots, especially at the top level. It's just it can be tough for sure. And it was funny, Anna, you were talking about your pre-shot routine, and I think like I've watched you play a lot of times, but I don't know why, but for some reason this game I really noticed like you have an insanely deliberate routine in the hack, where you like wipe off your shoe and everything. Like, where did that come about? Where did that start? Because I feel like it's almost. You spend almost more time in the hack than most skips, I think.
And if it takes too long, you have to start over 1 more time.
Yes, and you do that. You do that in this game. You do it 2 times because I think something happened, obviously, and then you reset yourself.
No, I think I had it all my life almost, or I have, and it's in a way because I still speak too when I do it sometimes, because it's all like a part of my routine, like talking to the girls, and so, but it's just like a way of I think it's just a way of telling my body to get ready and to know what it can do. Like to do what I know it can do, kind of.
Right.
And we clocked it a lot of times to see, like, just to see how much time I need and stuff. And if Wayne says I'm good and I could keep going, I'm good. So
it has like we've been working with like being short on time and things like all teams obviously are short on time sometimes, and we have decided that this is one of the things that we're not cutting off. Like you have to have that moment to just like finding yourself and do whatever you need to do to make the shot. That's the most important. So it's more important for us to be quick before that, and then give you that time. And
on easy shots, I can be very quick. So I can also be like, I have the on and off switch kind of also too. But in big games, I take a lot of time, I guess.
No, that's good. I mean, yeah, it was just interesting. It was just something that really stuck out to me when I was watching. Now, you guys talk a lot about analytics, and I think a lot of people, who follow the sport have sort of noticed that there's a lot of conversation around the eighth end now, and that the eighth end is kind of the most important end of the game. What was your thinking about approaching this eighth end tied without the hammer? Obviously, you throw double centers. How do you kind of approach the eighth end? Like, is the eighth end? I'll make the question twofold. Is the eighth end as important as people say? And how do you decide, which way you approach it?
Players and the positions are very similar.
Okay, so first question is if the eighth end is as important, and I would say it is. For sure, even though we are not one of the teams that are there's a lot of teams that are more into playing even or odd ends than we are, but we do it too. We think that the most important thing is that you don't give up steals and that you score when you can. That's how we think we win games, and it doesn't matter which end you do that. But of course, the eighth end is very, very important because it's only two ends left. So, the chance of winning a game as the game goes on, the percentages of the chance of winning a game for every end that goes, it lowers a lot. So if you can score in the eighth and be one ahead or something, it does definitely increase your chances of winning the game, because it's obviously just two ends left, and if you get a force in the ninth, you're golden, kind of.
Right.
So going into this game, obviously we throw double centers, so we wanted to the ideal situation is to steal, but you can never control a steal 100% because that is that then you need someone to miss.
Right.
And then the other goal then is to get a force. And the last one is to get a blank, but then you have to kind of weight the blank, the risk of forcing or trying to go hard for a steal about the risk of giving up a 2, which is the worst case scenario of all time.
Yeah. Right. Were you sort of surprised? Okay, we're gonna get a timeout here. Were you sort of surprised that they were peeling your center guards there? Because it seemed like they were set up pretty good.
No, I wasn't, because we could have tapped either of those two rocks. I was a little bit surprised, generally about how defensive they were calling the game, the last 5 ends.
Right.
But I didn't think it was a crazy shot to go for trying for the triple. I think she was doing that. Right. Because since we didn't came down to the freeze perfectly on that top red lying on the center line.
Okay, well, we'll listen to Wayne here.
Blank force, right? Yeah. Okay, so sit 3, try and roll it behind the corner guard, and keep the force alive as long as you can. Because force them is really good. They might go in the rings in 9, then we try and blank 9, right? Because 1 down with, 2 down with is a good scenario for us, right? It's really good for us. So I think you hit it, roll behind the corner, keep the force, keep sitting 2 as long as you can. So keep the force going. Okay? Okay, let's go, team.
I like the little "let's go" team from Wayne at the end. Okay, let's go, team.
Yeah, he always does that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Wayne was basically saying that, you know, the strategy here is that you wanted to keep either the force or the blank in play, and your best way of doing this was just to hit here. And it seemed like your team was in complete agreement with that. I think that was the shot you were calling anyway, right, Anna?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just seemed like a good thing to take a timeout here, because it's also an important shot, and since we were pretty on the same page, we knew that with Wayne we would have some extra time to talk about other things too, because he's so quick. He's like a legend of timeouts. Everyone should look at him and be like that if they can on timeouts.
Well, not everybody is one of the best curlers of all time.
So
there is also that.
That's true. He is the king of timeouts. Like if you get a chance, you should look at the timeout in the 10th end of this year's Euro final too. It's amazing. On Sarah's rock too.
Yeah, it's good. Like, it definitely seemed like he had a very clear, like, he sort of told you the options, presented which one he thought was the best, and did it in like 20 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we also have time to like talk through the rest of the end and how it's going to end, and also like the next end.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty funny. Yeah, when he's like laying it out, like, well, we get a force, we get a blank, we get 2, we do this, we do. It was like, yeah, it was interesting. Do you like? You don't find that that's like an overwhelming amount of information, though? Like, that's the way that you want it to be delivered to you.
Yes, for sure.
And it gives us like confidence too.
Yeah, it gives confidence, and for sure. And he's like he's so like objective in the way he says say it too. So you really trust what he's saying.
And also, like, if we would disagree, then we're also like, we're confident enough to say that too. So it's
right.
It's a very good communication.
Yes. Yeah. And he would say, what's your mind at, Anna, kind of, or something like that. So here
Yeah, so obviously your decision here, you rip the guard and it's likely a blank, or you try and draw into the house and split the house so that you get a potential force. The only issue is if you try and draw around the corner and you come deep, then you bring 2 into play, possibly.
Yeah, so here's like the risk and reward scenario here. Because I didn't mind them blanking the 8th end, actually. Like, the only thing I did mind it was to go first around that corner. They still have 3 rocks to go, and then be like, and they setting up something, and our force is out of play, so I really liked the ripping the corner. I did. Just because I think in that situation the force wasn't looking amazing, and we were definitely not stealing. So, because my first question was to go around the corner, and then I asked the team, I was like, or we just rip the guard, what do you like? And then you and Sophia immediately say, I like that. Let's rip it, kind of. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I think, like, you know, we were talking about the importance of the 8th end, and really the main thing for you here is to not give up 2, right? So the only way you're going to give up 2 is by going around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
And we hadn't played a lot of inside out shots on that spot either. So coming deep could have been something too. And if she we have to be perfect, and because there's Sarah's last rock. So, I think I could have definitely seen ourselves go around it too. But in this particular situation, I really still like the ripping.
Yeah, me too. I think, like, because we always, before an end, we always say, like, what is the perfect outcome? And sometimes, like, what is the second best and third best? And I think, like, coming to, like, the end game. We really trust our own end game too. So we weren't afraid of any of those scenarios. Only losing a 2 here.
Yeah. So that's why I'm peeling on my first, because once upon a time, Anette Norberg, when we were juniors, she froze. We were nose hit it, and she froze, and we gave up a 2. So we learned the hard way. So I was like, so because Alina could have been happy with taking 1 here, so she could have gone on the freeze if I have nosed on my first. So right. I was not giving her even the chance of thinking about it. So just ripping it.
Mistakes.
That's interesting. You know, it's funny. One thing I've learned, this is my 5th, I think, episode now of classic curling and watching these games with teams. And it is so interesting how, getting into the mindset of top teams, how much, past shots and past experiences inform decision making. It's crazy that you would go all the way back to juniors. You're like, oh yeah, this one time this exact scenario happened and I nosed it and then she froze and then we gave up 2.
And we're never doing that again.
No. I was in shock. It was you felt no, it was awful.
But you kind of have to go through all those kind of mistakes to learn, to really learn what you shouldn't do.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for Anette Norberg.
Aren't we all? We all are.
We are.
Can you two move your camera a little bit? Your faces are ducking out of screen. Can you just pop your laptop up a bit so everybody can see your shining faces here? Oh, there we go.
Good for it.
After being in the sun all day.
I didn't even notice. I just had people asking me in the chat if you could move it up.
Oh, okay.
So thank you. They just want to see you. That's all.
Just to go for the blank.
Okay, so this is a real interesting call. Were you surprised? We're gonna see what happens. Obviously, you see where the broom is. You can see what the commentators are saying. It seems like most people in this scenario would be blanking, and then Alina comes out of the hack, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. She's not throwing peel. She's throwing bumper.
Yes.
So they obviously decide to take 1 in the 8th as opposed to blanking. Were you surprised that this was the call that they made?
Wants to score at 8.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, we were.
I remember that this really gave us some fuel too.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think so. I felt okay, so that's how they want to play it. Don't you remember that?
Yes, it's just so typical you.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn the role that Agnes has on the team here. I'm getting a pretty good sense of it. I've never talked to you two before, but I already feel like I have a pretty good handle.
You're always trying to be so politically correct. And I'm like, no, I don't give a peep.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, no. Okay, so we were surprised. I was surprised that they wanted to use their hammer in that way. But in the same way, we also played the game, or the whole end, in a way that we wanted to force them to blank. So I think they wanted to take that back, take that control back.
Right.
And just oh no, we're getting a force we're taking a 1 here because you can't, because we showed them so much that we wanted them to blank. Yeah.
Right. But in a way, I hear what you're saying, but also they're giving up control because they're giving you the hammer now.
Yes, and we had been wanting that hammer really, really. We had, and since of Wayne's timeout, I think
certainly
we knew exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah. So everything was
Switzerland.
Yeah, it was like Agnes said.
So it was clear though, it's interesting to me because it was obviously clear that they felt like scoring in the 8th was the most important thing.
Yes.
I agree with what you're saying. I can totally understand that they kind of want to be hey, no, we have control, we're taking control here. But it just seems interesting that obviously that was part of their game plan, was well, we're going to score in the 8th no matter what. And it just seems like a strange. It seems like a strange call to me. I was very surprised, like that you don't, like you said, that they'd use their hammer in that way and only take the one. What did that like adjust your game planning at all? Like obviously you said you'd had the timeout with Wayne, but was there like, what was the talk in between ends? Because I feel like if a team did that against me, I'd be like, okay, what are they doing? Like, what is their game plan here? Like, I'm very confused as to why they would do that.
I think that's what, like, we were so focused. So we were like, okay, now we got our force. And let's blank because we want hammer in 10th. Like, that's what everything that we went for. So I was even more, what I think is the most surprising shot or the most surprising call is not the shot in 8th. I think it's the hit with Melanie's second here.
Yes, I agree completely.
So they throw the center. We made the tick shot, and we're not playing the tick shot 100% just to make like a blank, because we're also just playing it maybe to get a double corner up and go really hard for like a big end.
Yeah, to have both options.
Both options, exactly. And then they hit on the wing there, opposing to like throw double centers, which I thought they would do since they chose to take one in the 8th. So
you would think that they'd be going hard for a force here, right? Like that would be their plan, was they take one in 8 and then they force you in 9.
Yeah.
And then have hammer coming home tied.
Yes, so I was more surprised about that takeout on the wing.
Yeah, and why do you think they did that? Do you think that they felt like they would be able to hold you to 1 in 10 and then they would win in the extra? Like, what do you think the thought process was there?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
That just seems odd to me, but what do I know?
You will have to invite Silvana on next one. You force her to.
For some reason, I feel like Silvana is not going to come on here and talk about this game with me. I just have a sneaking suspicion that it's probably not going to happen.
We're all really good friends, so we should have Mel and Silvana here, so we could ask them.
Yeah, exactly. What were you guys thinking? I don't even need to do a full stream with you. Can you just do like 10 minutes with me and just tell me about this like these 6 shots?
It would be like, fuck off, Anna.
And I kind of think that they went into this game saying like, if we have a lead after 8, we're gonna win. And I think like no matter how the game, like how it's developed and how it's got there, I think they were like, okay, but if we have a lead after 8, we will win. And then I think they did it because of that. Yeah.
Right.
Probably, yeah. So,
and is that something that sorry to interrupt, but I think this question is going to keep us on the same path. Like, is that something that you guys talk about as well? That, you know, because it seems to me like if you have a pre-game plan, let's say, how intense are you about sticking to that pre-game plan? Because to me, it seems like it's one thing to have a plan like, oh, if we're leading after 8, that's the situation we want to be in. But then you could change that plan once you see what's given to you in the 8th end. Like, how strict are you when you come up with a pre-game plan to sticking to it?
We have a pretty good idea of how we wanted to have it, but then we like cut the game in all like little pieces.
Yeah.
So we have like we put the like ends in pairs or even on their own,
like the first 2 and the first 4.
Yeah, exactly. So then we kind of in between ends we have like there's a minute in between ends, and we kind of just try to sum up the end goal for every like the end that is coming. So we do that in between the ends every time.
And like we talk about the ideal scenario, like if we're 1 up without or like against this team, like we talk about the perfect scenarios, but we also talk about the second best and third best too, when it comes to the whole game picture.
Yeah.
But like Anna said, like we're not like glued to that first idea of the game, because we know that every game develops differently, and depending on how the other team is playing and how we are playing and how the ice is working for us and everything. So it's like you have to maybe like let that whole picture go a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question a few ends ago, and this seems like a good time to get to it. Someone was wondering, you all slide with your broom flat on the ice, which we don't see in women's curling too often. There's obviously quite a few men's curlers, Canadian, I should say. I'm biased, but Canadian men's curlers who slide with their broom flat, like John Morris and Mark Kennedy and Pat Simmons, and the list goes on. But we don't see too many Canadian women who slide with their broom flat. How did that become the kind of dominant style that you all chose to slide with?
Sophia doesn't, though.
No, Sophia
doesn't, I know, but the other three of you do, which is still a pretty high percentage of the team.
It's more like what you learn to do when you're a kid. I think.
A lot of people in our club does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, like, the younger generation does it too.
Yeah,
a lot, because
it makes sense because Nick does it and all of you do it. So it would make sense to me that like a young person in Sweden would do it now. But I'm just interested. Like, it's interesting that that's how you were taught, because I feel like even in Canada, nice shot, Sarah. In Canada, most of us don't get taught that way. Like, it's just something that we kind of over time we go like, okay, maybe I'll try my broom flat on the ice, but we never get taught that way.
I remember when I moved, because I can move it up pretty easy, but I remember I was so short. It looked so silly because there was so much broom above my head.
So it's just purely fashion.
But I also like I loved, like, obviously I loved playing peel shots when we were kids too, like playing around, and I thought that like the technique where I could like go low behind the rock and just like tag along when I was a little kid, that was easier with the broom just like on the ice, I think. And so it's like coming down behind the rock, and you can see how you want to release it.
Yeah, and I don't need my broom to slide at all. So because I like when I started curl, I was even like I started with two hands, and then I just moved my left hand, and then I released the rock. So then when I added the broom, it was normal just to have it on the side.
It's not like just leaning on my broom. No.
Yeah, that's why I slide with it flat. I'm putting all my weight on it so that I can just not fall over. That's really my main concern.
Yeah, it's crazy, these kind of events, because they look so easy, and they are, but it's so much pressure on every shot. Like I was going to say before Switzerland, when they rolled out, it was like there's very few nose hits that are so important than a nose hit when you're like when you're in that scenario, because if we roll out, they can go around the only guard that was there and they can make a force.
Yeah.
And then they rolled out, and Sarah made that incredible peel.
Yeah.
And the end is gone.
Trailing by one.
And
it's an interesting, like, you can almost, it's weird because it feels to me like when I was watching this game yesterday, it feels to me that Switzerland got exactly what they wanted, really. Like, obviously, they make the choice to take 1 and 8. They obviously wanted to blank in 9, really, the way that they were playing the end. But then it does seem like somehow your team kind of takes momentum here, even though it's like they're playing their game plan, but then maybe they're like realizing like halfway through this end, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing, like, because Sarah makes that really good shot, and then it's almost like you can see a bit of deflation. Like maybe they were just hoping they were going to be able to come around that tight corner. I don't know. It just is the whole like energy shifts here, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, because we felt 100% that we were in control, and especially when Sophia made that really nice tick shot and rolled in, and then Sarah makes that pistol of a double.
Yeah.
I remember actually I was pretty nervous on this on this peel. Because
you're like, oh, we've done our game plan. We got everything we wanted. This is what Wayne was talking about. If I don't blank this.
So exactly. I was like, I actually thought, like, don't fuck it up, Anna. I actually we're sorry, Canadians. So sorry about my language.
Oh, you can swear. It's fine. This is no problem. This stream has no limits.
So I remember I was pretty nervous about this peel.
Yeah, this is like, people may not realize because it's noon where I am and it's 3 p.m. Eastern time, but in Sweden it's after dark. So, and we're obviously operating this stream on Sweden time, so it's no problem. It was funny. I was like, I had to look up. When I was making the little graphic for the show, I had to look up like what your time zone was called because I was like, what do they call it? Sweden time? I have no idea.
So you're saying you're allowed to curse after dinner?
Yes, exactly. And you two have had dinner, so you can curse away. I won't curse because I haven't even had lunch yet. But you two just let it fly, no problem.
Yeah. I think that ninth end, it's maybe not the most like fun situation, but mentally it was very. It's a very it's what do you call it? It was not a nervous end to play, but it was more like it's like really seize the opportunity kind of. But both teams probably felt that way because both teams played it as it was like we wanted to have it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, so when you're coming into this 10th end now, what is kind of the discussion in between the end? Because obviously you got what you wanted, you got the blank, but like as a team, how hard do you want to go here for 2? Because I know there's kind of been, again, like a lot of analytics work says that, extra end, if you don't have the hammer, the percentages of winning is quite low. So we're starting to see teams get really, really aggressive in the 10th. To try and win the game because they know they're probably not going to win in the extra. What was kind of that talk for you guys? Was that a similar thing that you wanted to go really aggressive here?
Like playing Tirinzoni in a European final, we know that we have to have the hammer to win. Yes. Like so this is the end where we're winning.
Yeah.
We will go hard for 2.
We have so much respect in Alina's straw weight,
and like Melanie making the tick shot,
and Esther is amazing peel player, and Silvana as well. So yeah, definitely want to go hard for winning here. But I thought they would throw double centers actually here too, but they didn't.
60% in favor of.
I kind of get the feeling that like their call in the 8th makes them shivering a little bit. Like I get the feeling that they're like they did that to stick to their game plan, but they maybe afterwards got a little bit insecure afterwards. Like, was that the right call? And maybe that affects the other ends too a little bit. That's a little bit of a feeling.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, it's interesting because I talked with Mark Kennedy about the 2009 Worlds, and of course, one of the most debated shots of all time when Kevin Martin throws his second to last rock in the 10th through the house and then doesn't win. And a lot of people say, well, if he just makes his last shot, we probably never talk about it again, or we talk about it like, wow, Kevin Martin, what a genius, he threw his first one through and then they won the game. And I think maybe that's like, you almost add a little bit of pressure because most teams in that situation would blank the 8th end. So now it's like you're almost putting more pressure on yourself because you feel like you have to justify the strategy, right? Exactly. Like you're like, oh, we made this like kind of call that a lot of teams wouldn't make, so now we better win the game so that we look smart.
Yeah.
And I agree. And on the other hand, us as the opposing team, we're feeling like I was still feeling here like, why did you do that? Like, no, but seriously, like I felt that gave us strength too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that much at that point, but I can still see, of course, what you mean, and like. And I think I definitely think that you
have to take that chance.
That you are onto something, like because the European final that we played this season, we went for a really, really tough shot.
Yeah,
to score multiples or 2 instead of drawing for 1.
I'm just saying yes. I don't remember. I was like, yeah, we did. I never remember. I was like, yeah, no.
And we gave up a steal.
Okay.
Yeah. And we could have just drawn for 1, but we didn't. Yeah. And but I think that when you're in the right mindset, I think those kind of things doesn't matter so much because it's only the shot that you were supposed to play that you have in front of you. And And I think we all were in a really good state of mind here.
Yeah.
In this game.
Nice shot, Agnes.
Really nice shot. It's so important here that she bump it a little bit, because she also sets up the angle for the in-off.
Pardon. Yes, exactly. It gives you that option for for a Hail Mary if you need it.
Exactly. Yeah. So the shot gets really, really good. Like if she dead freeze it, it's super good too. But then they can come top of it, but when she bumps it a little bit, everything gets very dangerous. Yeah, and more open.
Yeah. And we have two ways into.
Yeah.
Both the brown side and also there.
I think we talk a little bit here, right? Do we? Rhetorical question.
Looks like it. You talk a couple times in this end. I remember.
Save that for later.
I don't even think you take a timeout, but you just talk.
Yeah. There it goes. Everyone's running down.
And I will translate. A lot of people don't know, but I am fluent in Swedish, so. You're like, oh, what? Okay. This is crazy. Can you believe that they didn't blank an 8? That's crazy. Yeah. That's what you guys were talking about. You're not even talking about the shot. You're like, whoa, our red is in the middle, and that's cool. And maybe, yeah. And, there's Wayne. He looks good. Pea.
A lot of people don't know that because you don't know Swedish, but we actually ask each other the same kind of questions all the time. So someone is always asking what's the alternatives? Someone asks like what's the end of the goal? What's the goal of the end? And someone asks like, what was your first thoughts, Anna?
They wanted to win the game.
Okay, cool.
When it's like a team discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, what is your gut feeling?
Yeah.
And that's the question you asked before. Like, if we are sticking to the game plan, if we're having a team discussion, maybe the end didn't end up as we thought it would, and then we have to change our goal with the end. So then we have to so what is the new goal with the end? And think about that. So we're playing the right shot with a new goal of the end.
That's cool. I think that there are like a lot of teams that wouldn't plan that out. I think that's really interesting for people who are watching to hear that, that is something that you guys actually plan out. Like someone's going to ask this and someone else is going to ask this. And it sort of like breeds a comfort, but also like a speed too, right? Like knowing that, okay, these are like the 3 questions we have to get through and then we can go back to making the shot.
Yeah, and it's not like we say exact those kind of things. I think Agnes asked me, Anna, do you like peeling the guard? And I was like, and I didn't answer. And then Sarah, what are our options? And then I said like what I thought the options were.
Yeah.
And then I said, but I think my first call was to peel. Do you like it? Yes. And then we went for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And this type of communication came up because we had a few team discussions that took a lot of time, and then we actually took we made the wrong decision as a team, and we were like, how can we make the wrong decision when we're standing this long and talking? For that, and then we're like, okay, we have to be more like, what should we talk about? And so this helps us to keep on track and to make Anna make the best decision, like to drag that out of her, sort of.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I love the idea of that for sure.
So like we could have gone like for a freeze because the angles are really, really good for us.
I like that you're getting a look. You're like, oh, what? In their timeout, your head just pops in.
Sneaky. Yes, but like we could have easily have drawn like an outturn draw and sit on top of so it would be like red, yellow. But since that like the double were lying there too,
it's getting so dangerous for them.
We felt like they couldn't really just like replace the guard either. So Yeah, I still like the peel. But we could easily have made the out turn draw too.
Also just thrown the guard.
I thought we would see them.
I like it though. Like I think a lot of times teams don't think about, and this is something that we talk about on our team. We use a term like we talk about delaying the end, right? Like sometimes it's not a bad move to just like, obviously the play is going to come in the house at some point. It's never a bad idea to like delay that by like a shot or two, you know, like push it a little bit later.
100%. We talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we know, like we obviously know that the play is going to be in the house sooner or later. But it's like peeling the guard is like pushing the end a little bit more forward. Yeah.
This is the part where I was like, oh, how did they get 2 here? When I was watching it yesterday. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so like still looking at it, I could have thought about like making the draw. Everything is so close, so it's
yeah, there's lots of stones in play.
yeah, no. I like the peel, but definitely we probably might have gone
Preparing for this moment.
a different way of the game. We might have made the draw instead of peeling.
And when you say draw, like you mean like drawing on top of the 2 yellows?
Yeah. But I still like the call of that we did.
This one or
no, on yours.
Yeah. So making the draw on mine.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry. Because now it's definitely there's only one shot to call.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah, I agree with you. I probably just like peeling. You know.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. Like, oh, peel, yeah, I can make that in a 10th then, no problem.
And sneaks the red out the back.
Ooh, that's sweaty.
Yeah, I was like, again, this is especially after this shot, I was like, whoa, they get 2 here?
Yep. Well, we do have a corner guard. Never underestimate that corner guard.
Oh yeah, of course. We love a good corner guard.
Got to roll with it.
That's why we peeled it in the 8th end, because you should never underestimate the corner.
Exactly, it's true. I'm a lead, okay? I never underestimate any guard anytime.
It's going to look very hard for Sweden to generate a 2.
Yeah, but then you have to make one of those. Sarah makes another beauty on her last here.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this one. But it would have been very tricky if she wouldn't have coming up heavy here and rolled off.
Yeah, the rolling out is huge for sure.
Rolling out is huge.
Don't do anything fancy.
Yeah, if she manages to stick around, it's pretty good for them.
Yeah.
You're right, Rona. They're now sitting 5. Where do you go? Do you go around the corner?
So that was lucky for us.
Is there ever a scenario if you're Silvana where you contemplate peeling the corner, or is it too late?
Too late, I think. I think if she would just have rolled like in front of that, like sitting like a guard in the house. I kind of had to throw like a double just to make sure that I have something on, or it's like Sarah had to throw a double to hope to have more of the 8 foot later or something.
Yeah.
Or give me the option of freezing to the one that she's rolling to now.
Yep.
I think she asks me how she threw her first rock, and I was just, you were just tight and didn't put it out. And then she throws this so perfectly. It's very good. We have a very open communication.
Which is good. Some players can't handle the truth.
Yeah, no, she can, for sure. That's why she's awesome.
Just get the roll over on top. Don't want to spring it.
Yeah, this shot wins you the game right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
From Sarah McManus.
Yeah, great shot.
That is a brilliant shot. And it's a scary shot for Alina too, because they need to, like, they kind of need to nose, even just roll a hair inside, but then she has to push our red out of like the whole house.
Yeah. That's not easy.
Which is not easy. So everything high you think is good, but that gives up, and then the corner draw opens up.
Yeah.
Because even if she knows this, I think I could have been, we could have been shot rock behind the corner. So she has almost have to like nose it or a hair inside, but then she has to throw a lot of weight.
The red goes out.
Yep.
And there's a corner guard. Sweden.
I think take lesser ice. I think I'm like discussing that so long here.
Yeah, you guys talk for a while here. I also like that we get the angle of Silvana blowing her nose.
Yeah.
So bad. It's like a ton of tension in the 10th end, and let's cut to Silvana blowing her nose. So what were you worried about with the ice here? Was it because you said earlier you hadn't thrown a ton of in-out? Is that why the discussion is so long?
Perfect.
Yeah, and because we know if we make this is the winning shot. And our experience was that sometimes it could take, we were like a little bit too fast, not discussing the right things in big shots that look easy.
Right.
So we're just saying, Sophia was like, I threw mine there. I really think I threw it soft, and it didn't curl that much either. And then I was like, oh, and I kept the ice, and then I came down to the hack, and then I was like, no, Sophia, you're right.
Yeah.
You'll probably have a draw to the 4-foot for.
This is where you do a double routine.
Title.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very good routine.
It's a great routine. I love the slider clean. It's classic.
Yeah,
91% on the draws. The Sweepers have really attacked this one early on.
Now Sarah says it's broom.
They thought maybe for line they had to go there, but
They need to go a little bit for weight.
they need to bury this as far as they can.
This is such a good sweep.
Yeah, really good. Perfect spot.
Round the corner.
Yeah, you're sweeping really well. It's crazy, like I don't think Alina thought that she had to throw a red run back to win this, like how it was setting up earlier.
No, of course not. Yeah. That's that corner guard, that dangerous corner we were talking about.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can jam to here too. Are they short on time? No, they're not. They're super quick.
I think Alina was just like, there's nothing else to throw, and I think she maybe thought, okay, well, I got this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like you could easily jam on that yellow right beside, and then the one she's running back sits in the 8-foot.
Very silent.
She's so close.
Oh, so close. Yeah.
Have they made it? There's one just slips past the inside. Well.
So how do you prepare to throw shots like this? Because especially like the announcer brings it up. Obviously, you missed a draw in 2016.
To hit the 8-foot.
Is that even in your mind at all, or what are you thinking here?
Now there's no guard to reckon.
Yeah. It's no open house. No, actually, just like in the 2016, I threw the perfect weight. I put it on the broom, and we just took too much ice. So I wrecked on like a high corner guard.
Yeah.
So
that we didn't even see.
That we didn't even see.
We didn't even see that corner guard was like in play.
No,
we were like, because we had been playing in that path before too.
Yeah,
and it was getting a little bit straighter and straighter, and yeah, it was experience. I think. Yeah.
So I've never questioned myself of kicking out the right speed on an important draw. It's more about finding the right ice and communicate it well through the teams, like within the team.
And probably
Right.
that is a part, like maybe that is why we are communicating really good on the first one here, to make it perfect. So it's a team shot. Like it's not on Anna if it's not perfect. It's on all of us.
Yeah.
All of us, I think.
So this shot, I said before that I wanted to have the out turn draw. So my mind was pretty set on the out turn draw.
So final score.
So I was only thinking about, what I said before, like how to throw it and what speed I wanted to kick out with, and and what eyes I should have.
Rona, do you think?
Well, that's good. I mean, I think, it's interesting hearing from different people, different skips, how they approach throwing those shots. And it seems like for you, you're pretty good at just focusing on the process and not really worrying about the fact that it's a shot to win the Europeans or whatever.
No, or like, no, I kind of, sometimes I, like in less important games, I can be like almost, I want to feel nervous because I'm better in that situations. So I have it was like sometimes just to be funny when I just have to like hit an open takeout when we played Kerry Einarsson, like in this in the slam season this year. Anna was just like, Anna, if you just hit this rock, we'll win the slam.
I tried to put some more pressure on her.
Hit the rock and we'll win, and stuff like that.
Like, what? It's like, yeah, we win if you hit it.
Yeah, just hit it, Anna.
Like to make her focus even more, because I was like,
because then I start laughing, and then I have to refocus, and then she knows I am going to make it.
Yeah.
That's so funny, but that's not something that would bother you. You're just like, okay, cool. She's putting more pressure on me. That's good. That's what I want.
It's because when we were kids, I think we were like 13 or something. And then I said that, like, if you make this, we will win. And we were playing like the Nordic Junior Championships, I think. And that was our first championship. And we were like, it was a lot of pressure. And I was like, if you make it, we win. So I said it. So it's a joke. Like, we're not 13 anymore, and now I say it because it makes us like laugh about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. What now? Here's the most important question of this entire game. What did you guys do with the giant cheese you won?
Oh. Wow, we eat it.
It's so much cheese.
It's like you chop it up and you bring it to every Christmas party you go to.
It's like if you chop it up and you get like 20 pretty big pieces. Yeah. And then you just like give them out to the people you meet during Christmas. It's perfect. It's a perfect gift. And then in the lasagna for the rest of the year. Yeah. I ate it today.
Oh, I did. I ate it 2 days ago.
Okay, I did today. I did.
Does it last that long, or do you freeze it?
Yeah, I had it for tacos.
No, but you vacuum it, and then you can have it for like
it
over
was
a year.
not this year's. It was the Europeans. For us, it was like this season.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's still like that's still 6 months old.
Oh yeah, no, you vacuum it. It's no problem.
Yeah, vacuum it, and you can have it for like 2 years. Yeah, no problem. So I have. Awesome. This is still in my fridge, even here at the cottage.
Yeah. So the curling sesh became a cheese sesh.
I need to win one of these championships so I can get a bunch of cheese.
Yeah, you're always welcome to Europe. We don't have that many curlers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, I guess I got to live there for 2 years, but
yeah, no.
But then who knows?
Yeah.
I'll be old though. I'll be too old by then.
No,
36 in 2 years. I can't handle that.
I'm not old. He is much older.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thomas Ulsrud is much older.
That's true. I mean, I know there's older people, but I'm just saying, like, although actually, well, see, I've never played for Canada before, so maybe I can play for Sweden right away. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, probably. And we're longing for more curlers, so you will be our 3001.
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, I haven't, there's probably like 3,000 curlers in BC, and I haven't managed to win here. So my hopes aren't high, but, you never know. At the very least, I'll get some good cheese out of it. You two can have me over for some cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It means a lot.
You. Sorry, go ahead.
You can see it means a lot to win the Europeans for us. It's like the Scotties, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think too, like, do you think that like also coming second, I would imagine 2 years in a row makes it a little bit sweeter too, right?
Yes, for sure.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. Like it's, you don't think about it during the game, but like it also like a little bit scary to like to put yourself at the risk of losing a third one too.
Right.
And like for yourself, like in some way.
Yeah.
Because you don't
want that to become like the narrative about your team. Like, oh, they're great. They won the Olympics. They, they've won slams, whatever. But then when it comes to the Europeans, they can't win.
It's like 1 is 1 and 2 is the second one, but 3, that is a pattern.
Yeah, that's true. 3 in a row is a pattern. I say as I look at my 3 provincial silver medals hanging on my wall. Thank you, girls, so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. A lot of people in the chat are very appreciative as well and saying thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning / night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
this
for
was
having
fun.
us. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh,
I hope
good.
much and cursed too much and was so Canadian.
No, it was perfect. I loved it. It was great to finally meet both of you, even though it was a virtual meeting. It was an absolute blast to have you. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sure I'll do another one at some point. I don't know when, but just pay attention to my Twitter and I'll let you guys know. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope you're staying safe and staying inside and staying well, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.